What if you can get invited somewhere and you know you're never going to get to go back? Are you going to just shoot the first deer you see?
Not the first deer you see. Because, like, so I'm not going to mention names. We all know this person. I was invited to go hunt at a guy's place, and I was young, and he told me, he's like, man, we got a couple back there. You know, if you see one, shoot it. It's a drop tine deer back there. It needs to be shot, you know, whatever. Well, sure enough, that drop tine deer come out, and I shot it. And it was one of them things, you seen him in the woods, and it looked good. And then once he got on the ground, I was like,
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Buck Junkie Podcast. We are back at camp, and what's today? We're almost through October, aren't we?
Yeah.
29th.
29th.
Last October.
Last of October. This is when it starts getting good, fellas.
I don't know. It was 90 yesterday.
Well, it's going to be 90 today, too, like 88.
We got to get the weatherman to check.
Well, I guess today, first off, let's start off with any news. And y'all got any news in the world of hunting y'all want to talk about? I got a couple things. First off, this was really important to me. Finally got some rain coming.
We got a little rain at the house Sunday.
Yes. No, Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah. I was, Mikey texted me. It's like, is it rain? Can you tell if it's raining down there? Because I was at home and I pulled up, the cameras or whatever, and I was looking. I was like, it ain't raining yet. Because I can tell, like, when the concrete's wet, the gutters got real rain coming off. That's how I know we're getting some rain. And it started about an hour or two after I texted you back a couple hours later. I was sitting there watching ball game, and I was like, it's raining down there now. And we got a pretty good rain. I mean, it didn't look like it was a hard rain because I was excited to see some rain. That's the first rain we've seen in 6 weeks.
We were cooking for the community thing up at Bridgetown for the kids and stuff. So we had cooked like 300 hot dogs and like 100 bratwursts. And anyways, we was making chili and all that stuff for the community. And, it wasn't, I didn't think it was going to rain, and it just kind of started drizzling. I was like, oh, here we go. This is what we needed. And it come a monsoon up there. It rained hard for an hour.
Oh, it
rained really hard.
It rained hard.
Did you get that at your house? So what did it do?
I walked out there 30 minutes later, and you couldn't tell it rained. The yard was dry still. And it rained probably 30 or 45 minutes, enough to where you could hear it in the house.
Yeah.
But like yesterday, I walked out to the food plot, bone dry. Like, you couldn't even tell it rained a couple days ago at all.
Did it help, though? Did it green stuff up?
Man, I think I got some bad fertilizer.
It's just been laying there in the heat.
It won't dissolve. It's still laying there. Like, it's still whole granule.
You fixing it?
It's probably wasn't enough rain.
Just wait.
Well,
it's either going to float off, or it's all going to go in the ground, and you fixing to get a explosion of stuff.
I'm going to put some more out before.
More fertilizer?
Yeah. I didn't put out about 40 pounds on that little half acre. Like, I didn't put it out real heavy. So I'm going to throw out the rest of that bag. And if it's supposed to get a good rain this weekend, I may hammer it pretty good just to make up lost ground, because we've been dry.
Did you get everything germinate, though?
Everything germinated that I can tell. I walked over yesterday evening and looked at Jamie's little strip. What was in that mix? Did you plant just the mix I gave you?
No, it was that mix, and then I had a bucket. It was probably a year old, but it was some clover,
it was that old Delta mix we used to.
Delta Plot Plus?
Yeah.
It was like a whole bunch of T-Nightsy seeds in there.
It was some, looked like turnips or rape or something coming up after some broadleaf was coming up.
That had radish in it. It had a little bit of, it had all kinds of stuff.
That was a good mix.
You can't get it anymore, as far as I know.
Because all that, it was coated, wasn't it?
A year old then.
That's got to be 2 or 3 years old. But, so seeds like that, if they're kept dry, in a decent environment, are they still, you're still going to get some germination. They might not all germinate.
But it's not going to be good. It just depends on where you kept it at and what you kept it in. If you got it outside, like storing it outside where it's getting, down below freezing and then back up 100 degrees, down below,
Yours was in your wooden shed, wasn't it?
No, it was in my shop.
Oh, was it?
It was in a shop, like a food grade.
It come in 5-gallon buckets.
I like the buckets those things used to come in.
Well, all that seed is all coated.
Yeah, it was. It was still some I had from some I bought last year that I never threw out.
Did it start popping?
Yeah, his is coming up. His ain't quite up as much as which we planted about a week and a half.
Best looking plot. Best looking plot going on some 3-year-old seed. Watch,
but it's coming up. We got some vegetation out there. I'm not really sure what is. I don't know that it was in the seed mix, but
when you ID'd it, what'd it say it was? Some kind of Indian hemp or something?
Yeah, it said Indian hemp.
I don't know if they put that in the mix, but
I didn't see it in the mix, but this is a pretty aggressive growing plant.
yeah.
we
Don't
might-
eat it. It's supposed to be poisonous. I
Yeah.
think.
Some of that hemp is, it's evasive. It's
Don't smoke it.
Yeah.
Don't dry it out.
Yeah, don't burn that field off.
You don't want to be near it. It's toxic.
But I got a good stand of, I guess, the radishes and some of the broadleaf. There's a little bit of cereal grain coming up, not as much, which is hard to see when it's germinating like that.
Especially with no rain, being so dry.
But I'm gonna try to get out there this afternoon and get that box stand put up, get it backed off in the woods, and
Have you put a camera on it yet?
I haven't. I've been watching them off the back porch. That's like this morning.
Yeah.
I got my coffee, took the dogs out, and there was a doe and 2 little ones standing in my backyard.
Well, what do y'all think on a plot like that? I mean, when you know you got a bunch of deer in the area, because y'all got a ton of doe out there. They're coming, you see them at the house all the time.
Yeah.
Or like on a little 1/4 acre plot, you really don't know how that plot's doing, because if the doe if they're in there, man, they could just wipe that out.
I walked it and looked good yesterday, thinking you might see some like little nips on
Yeah.
some of them tender greens, and I didn't see it. I didn't walk all the way down the bottom edge, like along the tree line, but I didn't see where, I mean, you've seen foot tracks and stuff out there, but I didn't see where they were like pulling it up already. Didn't look like, but like you say, you don't know. I mean, as aggressive as they
cage
are.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
you can stick a tomato cage on it. You'll know pretty good.
But we need some rain. And I'm ready for cool temperatures.
Well, the rain's coming. I don't know about the cool temps, but we're supposed to get pretty good bit of rain starting Halloween. And if we get, an inch or so, would be great. Total over 3 or 4 days. I hope it's not like a flood. So what's the dangers of that? Like, you got all your seed, you broadcasted seed, it's been laying out there. Your birds ain't ate it yet, hopefully, or turkeys and
Well, if you
everything
ground,
else. But is you going to lose that seed if it comes a hard rain?
if you ground's really hard, like just say it's dried back up, you cultipacked it and it got hard which most of ours is not. Ours is still kind of silty, but if you get enough rain, it'll pick that seed up, float it off. But if you got it broke up and it's under the ground, and it's probably not going to float off. Some of it might, depending on how heavy the rain is and how much, one of the biggest things you got to worry about is like water standing in the field. If it comes hard and fast, is it, flooding the field, and then it will pick it has a chance of picking that seed up.
And run. We saw it on
float to the
hills.
top, and then it'll run off.
Yeah, that's where I've seen it's on hills. Like if you got something planted on hills, and you'll lose it.
Yeah, we planted, I've seen that happen with, me and Granddad used to plant those big gardens and stuff. We did that one year, and we planted our watermelons and planted them kind of early, and we had a monstrous rain come through, flooded the field. All our watermelons come up in the fork. We didn't know if we needed to replant or not, and all of our watermelons come up in the end of the field.
Where it was running.
we had to replant the whole field.
See, I see it with fertilizer on my yard because my backyard kind of slopes down. It's got a low spot. I can fertilize my yard, and if it comes a big rain, that low spot is getting all the fertilizer. I mean, it'll be knee high compared to everything else, but it'll definitely do it for sure.
Some other news I got is we starting to see some bucks start tussling.
Yeah.
We've got we got one on property he's kind of the boss, I think.
Man,
he's tangled up with all
he
of them.
broke that one deer off or not. They were tussling.
Yeah.
We got one that's got a main beam snapped off, and they were tussling in the picture right before.
I think it did break it. That's the bad. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that.
Needs to go out there and look in front of that camera, see if it's laying there.
See if a piece of it broke off in that field. I bet it did. I didn't even think about that. I haven't been over there. I've been trying to stay out of the places where we see bucks. Hadn't seen a ton. I think they're all on acorns right now because we had some pretty good bachelor groups, a month and a half ago, and then they busted up, and you're starting to just see solo bucks now instead of the 2 and 3 together.
Yeah, they just, some of the smaller bucks, they'll probably stay together for a little while longer, but them bigger deer, they about done broke off from their bachelor groups if they were in them.
Have y'all still got a couple little bucks running around the house?
3, I think is what I've seen.
Yeah, that's the amount of bucks and the highest point count too.
Yeah.
3 and 3.
Yeah. I think with all 3 bucks to total, we got a 6 point out, all 3 of them. But man, it's that one spike.
I think he got 14 inch.
Yeah, I mean,
it's big.
he might be a cold deer at the house. No.
If you like and get him.
Hey, I'm gonna get one of them does. It's a couple of does out there, pretty good size.
So I was looking up. Me and Mikey got to go on a little hunting trip last week. We'll talk about that later. But I got to looking up. People were asking questions on regulations on what we could shoot, and we always kind of know, but every year I just kind of get the book out or go on the website or whatever and look. I did not realize that we can kill as many deer as we can this year.
Does it back up like it was? Where it was like 10?
You can kill 10 antlerless deer. I mean, who needs to kill 10? I just don't know.
Is that all in rifle season?
I think it's.
Or is that a
I think it's
conglomerate of all?
I think that's the total on the year. What you're allowed as a resident.
Your bag limit.
Yeah, and it's because of the CWD regulations they've got on a few counties up here in North Mississippi, and it's like they broke out our own little zone. If you look at the map, because we should be in the Delta zone. It's supposed to be west of 55 and north of 20 or whatever. That should be where we're at. But according to the way they broke out the CWD thing, we're called the North Central Zone or something.
Did it cross the levee?
The zone didn't. No,
then it ain't real. Until it
dips,
crosses that levee.
It just dips out and picks us up in where we're at.
See, I think part of that problem is it's not necessarily we're overpopulated, but the housing market has overpopulated deer
the
ground.
property.
Yeah, and so now, you got, heck, right down the road from us, they're putting in probably 70 houses, and that was you looked at that property like 60 or 70 acres.
Yeah.
That's gone, so they just put the deer somewhere else.
What do you think of all that prime habitat around there? Because a lot of that was bottomland, cold water bottoms, and it's where they've developed everything. Those deer had to go somewhere.
Until that CWD zone crosses that levee, they ain't worried about it.
Yeah.
It's funny how that disease won't cross a high-paying club levee over there.
All the way down the Delta.
All the way down the Delta. They still, it's just that we just need to put a levee up around our property, apparently. It keeps CWD out.
Keeps it out.
Yeah.
I might get criticized, but I'm not a buyer in that whole CWD deal, me personally.
No.
It's a thing, but like you said earlier when you got here, you talked to our buddy Jay up in Indiana, and they're going through blue tongue right now, and it's devastated the area where he's at. And I don't know how much of the state it's affected, but
but you don't hear nothing about it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about it.
Yeah. You let one CWD deer get killed in Mississippi, and you think it's the end of the world. Which we were talking about that this weekend. We were up in Indiana, and I was talking to a guy that was set up beside us, and he hunts, I think, somewhere outside of Jackson, Tennessee, somewhere. And what's the county north of Corinth that's had CWD like it's the worst county in Tennessee every year?
Hardeman's one over there that had it pretty bad.
It's right on the state line.
McNary had it pretty bad too.
But that's what we were talking about. He's like, man, I forgot what the name of the county was, but he's like, they get all the rules, and he's just the only county in Tennessee, it seems like, that has it. And it's right on the Mississippi-Tennessee line.
Yeah. I guess that's where they think a lot of those come over from Marshall County, because it touches up there somewhere. Was it
Fayette County?
Fayette's
got it
one
bad.
of them that's on there. Yeah. That's closer to, Shelby, right?
Yeah.
It's close to us. But we're talking these are like northern border counties in Mississippi touch these, and that's how they think the CWD got rampant. And then what is it? Benton, Marshall, those are the ones where they've really, really found cases like a lot in Mississippi, close to us.
Yeah.
As far as I know, in our area of, Tate DeSoto, I don't know if there's been any, has it?
Nah.
There may have been.
Yeah, not that I know of.
I hadn't seen any, but they have these rules that are like, you get grandfathered in if you're a county that touches one that had a positive, because they're assuming the deer can travel across. They can.
What were Jamie, you looked up something that was talking about mineral deficiencies or iron deficiencies or something.
It said, it's a guy that I looked at on podcast, and he produces his own feed and seed for his deer farm, and whatever it was he come up with, it was a grain that he put in there that he said tested, it helped on flies, mosquitoes, and CWD, but I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it's some kind of seed or seed oil.
So that's what I was wondering.
Like giving them vitamins in the food.
Yeah, they said that every deer that had tested positive for CWD, they had a deficiency of whatever this iron and mineral was in the deer system.
Yeah. So we were talking about that as like how much, like in the natural environment, mineral sites, how common is that? Like a natural mineral site for a deer to go to?
I'm sure it's pretty common. There's got to be deposits in the dirt of everything.
So how much, since like in our area subdivisions, how many natural mineral sites does those deer normally go to are no longer there because of housing and development, how many of those natural mineral sites did we lose? And is that affecting the deer's health, not having that natural mineral site now? Or how much does that play a part in? Is that an option? Is that an issue? Or
no, it's got to be humans are pushing the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got to have that, and if you destroyed their natural place to go get minerals at, and they've been going there for 100 years or more,
and you're only talking one deer has to get it to pass it on to the whole herd,
So then you push them out into a new area or something like that, where now you've got a heavy constriction of deer going to that one. If any of them are sick,
chances of them they're going to spread disease. And it's not just CWD; it's all diseases. They're so sick.
Yeah, it's everything.
The first one I seen when we had that land leased at Laws Hill, it was probably a couple thousand square foot. It's a pretty good sized section of land, and it was just ate up with holes, and that's what it was. It was a natural, I guess, because you'd see deer all the time just come eat out of the hole in the ground. So it's kind of natural minerals there at one point in time.
We always seen them, which I guess they were natural over on Highway 30. That might have been Jimmy putting out salt blocks.
That could have been.
So Pops pointed out one to me. It was on Salem Road where it was in that dirt bank.
Yeah.
And he's like, you see what that is, don't you? It's a natural mineral deposit. And they're just licking the bank out. And it was just something on the side of a road. It wasn't like somebody dumped it. It was just those minerals get deposited in that soil. And when they find it, they go to it.
They come up to my yard where my saltwater pool drains out and
get the salt out of that.
I don't know if I guess they smell it or something, but they come up there and this deer tracks in it all the time.
Put us a pool in down here.
Good old watering hole.
Yeah.
Saltwater hole.
That's right. We get a saltwater hole. That makes more sense.
I guess it'd kill everything in the hole, though. As I asked Mikey about that, I said, "Can you turn a pond into a big, massive salt lick?"
Pond.
He said, "Yeah, it'd kill everything around it."
I guess it would. But no, I think population in Mississippi is through the roof, and I think we were talking about this is there's no common ground from state to state as far as deer management. Everybody has their own, which I guess is great because they got to manage their own herd, but you look at Indiana, I think they can only kill one buck. So, as much grain is up there, they got to be overpopulated too, especially because you look at the field size versus woods. It's like the Delta. There's not that much woods up there because it's mainly cornfields. So they're all populated in that little 10-acre block.
It's the landscape's congregating them. What interests me on it was like they don't shoot a lot of doe up there.
Mm-mm.
You don't like Jay when he came down here and hunted with us. He's like, man, y'all shoot doe like this. He said, we don't never like they don't shoot doe. He said that's how we were raised. We only shot bucks.
We shoot the heck out of them.
I think that's the biggest mistake in deer management is not shooting does. I don't care what your deer population is. You ought to at least be allowed to have one doe any time of the season. Not a doe day, not a doe weekend or week. Whenever you choose to kill the thing, you ought to be able to at least shoot one doe. I know what your deer population is.
Yeah. So let's talk about on the ground. We know some folks that's had some luck. Mikey, you got on the board, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. What was it, Wednesday?
Wednesday morning. Yeah, we went over to Arkansas for their early primitive weapon season and met a friend of ours over there that they've got a hunting club over there. So we went over and hunted with them and bought our license, went over there. So I harvested a doe. It was it was about 125 pound doe. It wasn't a great big doe, but she was healthy. Decent doe. Had some fat on her anyway.
Yeah. But
what about our buddy Trent got on the board, didn't he?
Barely, but yeah, he did.
What did he shoot?
He shot, I think it was, let me see what the total the point count was. He said it was 10. It was an official 10 point. He's figuring a 3 to 4 year old. He's been hunting that deer probably 2 years, and I forgot what he called it.
Like a real long brow tine.
Yeah, it had one brow tine that was like super, super long.
Well, it was kind of split, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When I saw it,
it was a cool looking deer.
Split main beams on one side.
And anyways, he put that monarch stand up. Of course, they can feed over there, so he had him a feeder out there.
Is that where he shot it?
Yeah. And he missed it day one. He went out there, of course, everybody talks all the crap about crossbows. He was out there with his compound bow because he's good enough. He don't need a crossbow, and he missed. Didn't touch it. He said that deer ducked 2 foot, looked like. But he finally took the crossbow out the next day, and he got pretty lucky for the deer to come back out.
Yeah, to get a second shot at it, it must have been wanting that corn off bad or whatever he had in that feeder.
I think he said he shot it with a crossbow and it run about 100 yards or so. And of course, I told him, I said, man, everything you shoot, you either got to shoot twice or get a dog on it. And he had to get the dog to go track him, which I get it. Like, you don't, especially on a buck, something that you've been hunting, you don't want to push it. So you let it lay. And then if a rain comes through or something like that, you lose your blood trail, or especially this time of year with the leaves, heck, a wind blows up, it'll blow your blood trail off, you know? And
so I got a question for you on that. This time of year, as warm as it's been, how do you let them lay? Like, you can't just leave a buck overnight, or the clock's ticking once you wound that animal for finding it. So is it best to go ahead and go get a dog and jump in there on it and you take the chance of, bumping him around, or is it?
Does that go by the same rules as we do with food safety? Like, once it gets below,
I would absolutely think so. That meat, you got a limited time.
You got 4
gotta
hours.
Get that meat cooled.
I'll answer what I think anyways. I mean, if I would go get, if I could find somebody that had dogs, go get the daggum thing, I would do that. Just because, I mean, like y'all were saying, I mean, after 5 or 6 hours, I don't know that
you're wasting the meat. I mean, what's the point?
It's 90 degrees outside. It's 70s at night. I don't know if that's risking, I don't want to make my family sick or nobody else sick eating that thing. I mean, I hate
So you'd say give it a reasonable amount of time, but you better go ahead and see how comfortable you were with the shot, where the deer was going.
Part of it.
See if you got your arrow, if you got blood, what the blood looks like on the arrow.
There's no doubt, like, if you watch his video on YouTube, because he filmed everything, there's no doubt that deer died within minutes of him shooting. Like, that deer didn't go far. The only reason he let it lay is I think they had one of his buddies shot a deer, and he shot his, and he was going to let it give it time while he went and found his buddy's deer. Then he come back and got his. So it worked out. I think they were on it within a couple hours. Like, I don't think
it wasn't long. It wasn't overnight.
Long.
Yeah.
It was one of them deals like, hey, let's go get this deer. We'll let this one lay. And they ended up finding 2 bucks that night that they had harvested. But
so that's the advantage of having a drone.
Fairly quick.
Drone to get in and find it and not disturb it. If it is, not a lethal kill, not a lethal shot, and it runs off or whatever, you're not pushing it.
Yeah, he made a heck of a shot on it. I just have to give Trent a hard time. We always mess with him because he runs a turkey down. He needs a dog for turkey hunting, but he got him on the ground though. That was one he was wanting to get. So
the best one killed was the one the girl shot. Who was it?
Emma Starkey.
That was a stud. DeSoto County. Was it DeSoto County buck?
Deer. Shoot,
I think we can't grow some deer in DeSoto County.
The one Adam shot, he posted it too.
Did he get one? Is he on the board too?
That was an old picture.
No, those are old pictures.
Okay. I was going to say he killed a heck of a deer too.
No, he puts a lot of time in scouting for deer and things like that, and putting food plots in behind his house, because I actually have him put some of those in. And anyways, he's got 2 girls that they love hunting. That was the oldest one, Emma. But he had I'm sure he had that deer kind of staked out, and he's got another one that he's saving for his other little girl. So he's good at finding those big deer. He's got some honey holes.
Something's honey about them. They're real honey.
It's been.
But that's that area over there where it's right up on the bluff. Where it drops off in the Delta. Man, that's some monsters.
Any of that area down through there, around that lake, and right on the edge of the Delta and stuff like that.
That's probably close to some of them core deers y'all hunt with the handicapped people.
Yeah.
How far do you think that is as a bird flies from here?
From here?
Yeah, like
less than 15.
How far
15
would say?
miles? No, it might be 20.
Up
there to round Eudora?
Yeah.
Oh,
15, 20.
Just centralized location.
North.
Probably not even that.
I don't know.
Probably 15.
It took us about 25, 30 minutes to drive from here.
Straight shot.
But straight. We're talking straight shot, like a bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't. You could draw a line. Yeah.
It's a pretty long stretch if you ain't never made it
across that bottom.
4 back up.
Yeah.
It was years ago at Ducks Unlimited. There's a guy from Eudora that had a deer up there, and I don't know what the bases were. They were 7, 8 inch. It's huge. And guy he was a guide for a club that was up there. He's like, there's no way that deer came from Mississippi. And that's exactly where it come from, Eudora. And
you look at that deer that was killed across the street from us last year. 10 years ago, I would have said that deer never come from Mississippi. And really looking at it last year, I was
Yes.
like, man, that don't look like it come from
Yeah,
Mississippi.
you get above 150 in North Mississippi, that's not.
What do
real
you
common.
contribute that to? It's probably where they're at. It's the terrain's tougher to get to, isn't it? They've got just so many places to go.
I mean, there's still a lot of agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture
out
is
there,
a
and
huge,
they're
huge
not
factor.
really. They're not developing. They are developing a little bit, but not near as heavy as it is around our house and stuff. And I mean, there's still a lot of farms there, and then they can drop off in the Delta. I mean, because those deer ain't just staying up on the bluff. They can go down the Delta, and man, you got millions of acres of food down there.
So what do you think the contributing factor is to growing a deer that size?
Education. I think more people are more passionate about the growing the deer, and people are getting more educated as far as like food sources. I mean, look at what we've done in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, everybody used to throw turnip greens out in the fall, and now more people are taking it serious, and they're managing the land year round and
Not pulling the trigger, letting them grow. I think that's the biggest contributor. That's what I was getting at.
That's
It was like being able to let a buck get to maturity. You don't know what they're going to be. We don't know because we don't see the
We
deer
don't ever
just
see
don't
them
get
get
to
there.
maturity. Yeah. But you're talking about letting that deer go to 6.5, 7.5 years old, seeing what its full potential is. You might get some 6-7 inch bases on a buck around here. I think a lot of them have the potential. It's just, there's different factors.
We don't give them.
People shoot the crap out of them for one when they're young. 2.5-year-old deer, that's probably the average buck killed in where we are. And then, habitat, we've got plenty of food in Mississippi. We've got the food. We've got,
I mean, the stress makes a big difference too.
Stress.
Where some of the places that he's hunting at, and we've hunted them before too. We
so
had,
pressure will put stress on them.
We had a place that was kind of similar to what I'm talking about. He's kind of hunting where there was big agriculture property around through there, and there was no we just had a small little section that we could hunt in. And we were seeing. We killed some nice deer up there.
Yeah, you look at all the ones that y'all seen or Pops has killed up there.
But
That's where you're talking about, right?
Down in there, there's nobody bothering them. You didn't go in there, and nobody was really in there during the summer, and there was agriculture all the way around them. Now all that's kind of changed. But
Well, yeah, think of the houses they built right there within a mile of that place, right on the other side of that school. I mean, there's 500 houses now, which wasn't there when y'all first started hunting that, I don't think.
I mean, I can remember growing up as a kid at our deer camp between our Uncle Jimmy, probably everybody sitting at this room. I remember shooting some deer that probably you were still scoring in the month age. Like they were 9 months old. They didn't even make it a year yet, So we kind of.
They were halves.
Yeah, they were half years.
0.5s.
Yeah.
I've killed plenty of 0.5.
Yeah.
I don't even think they made it 6 months.
I mean, I got pictures.
Some of the ones
I know
showed.
Jamie's got pictures of, heck, our dad and our uncle both that had them under 12-month-olds hanging up
on the wall or
on the skinning rack.
the skinning rack. Yeah, they on the wall.
Yeah, they on the wall somewhere.
My Uncle Jimmy killed 3 one day that between all 3 of them, you didn't equal a year and a half.
He took out the triplets.
Yeah.
Boy, if we had him on a podcast, it'd be entertaining.
So what's going on out here with the farm where we're working on? Where are we at? We're going to touch on that real quick before we get to our main topic today.
man, we're about to zip things up. We got all of our plots are in, just waiting on a little bit of rain. We did get some the other day, so the ones that we got in before, what was it, the hurricane come up through here, and we got a little rain on those. Those look really good right now. Some of the ones that we got in after that and didn't get no rain, just kind of been surviving off of dew and things like that. I mean, they're sprouted. They're kind of mangy looking right now, but hopefully this rain that we got the other day and the ones we're fixing to get is going to bring them on around. So
the consensus of people I've talked to, that everybody's in the same boat.
Other than
It's dry, dusty.
We got lucky and didn't get ate up as of yet by armyworms. Darren's place, which it's no piece from here, it got mowed down by the armyworms.
They got all his.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I think like if we'd have had the majority of ours planted before that first hurricane event, they would have got it because they got the grass. They got it all. If you had yard around here, anywhere we are, they got the dove field, the first plant. We had to re-put that in.
yeah, we had to go and replant the whole dove field.
After this podcast, we'll take a loop around and check on things. I got a few things I want to look at because deer movement, that's what I've been noticing too on cameras. We're starting to see the does are the ones we're seeing now. Bucks are disappeared or broke up into individual groups. We're seeing some fighting. I want to get out there and see if we're starting to see some scrapes, any signs of early, because it's time.
So
I mean, they ought to be.
We were in Indiana last week, and I did not see a single deer, which I was shocked because where we were camping, I've never seen acorns like this. I mean, it was, you literally walk out on the gravel or like the hard packed dirt and you'd fall because you were walking on acorns. It was like walking on golf balls, and they were everywhere. And we took a bike ride and took off one of the little trails up there, and I've never seen scrapes like that before. I mean, it was every 5 feet, just scrape, scrape, scrape. And I mean, tore to the ground, chewed up, you name it, limbs broke, like aggressive scrapes. And me and Jay were looking at them. I was like, man, like you think we'd see deer up here. I mean, this is a huge campground. I didn't see the first deer till I got back home.
But didn't see him at night, or
didn't see him at night, didn't see nothing. We saw squirrels. That's all we saw. But I was kind of shocked to see scrapes that early, which I guess that far north, everything's a little ahead of what we are.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's got to be getting close.
It's usually time for them to start. I mean, it's a little early, but now we can go to areas where we know we've seen them before, and there should be some early signs.
So we seen them in Arkansas last week.
It wasn't the first day either, because I was kind of looking the whole time. When we stumbled upon them, it was like we found some hot ones. We'll go right into that. So you want to take us? We went to, where were we at? We were south of Pine Bluff a little bit, Arkansas,
Yeah,
southern
Randall
Arkansas.
Hunting Club.
And that hunting club had been there, how many years?
60-something years.
60-something years. I'll imagine being a member of a hunting club, or your family was in one that long. That's a long time.
Yeah, so we got invited over to go to that Randall Hunting Club from a buddy of ours, Chandler Chambers. And anyways, I knew some of the guys that were in the club, just meeting them through him and being around him a little bit. So they invited us over to just come hang out with them for that early muzzleloader season. And which, I mean, that was kind of different for me because I've never, bow hunting in October is one thing, but sitting in a box stand rifle hunting, and and it's 90-something degree, or what did it get up? It did get up 90 degrees over there. Man, it was some kind of hot, and they ain't had no rain. They ain't had rain longer than we, been without it longer than we have. That was the dustiest that I've ever seen anything. I mean, just the roads, that stuff just lingered in the air. Man, it was hot. It was dusty. It was almost miserable. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go out and say it was the most miserable I've ever been sitting in a deer stand in my life. I thought there was a couple times I might die. I had my clothes. I was done took my shirt off. I was sitting in there.
I got in one in the afternoon.
I will never do that again. I promise you. Mosquitoes will eat you alive. Buzzards are circling because they know you fixing to die. I was in, if you guys, you ever seen one of them prison movies where they take the old bad guy and put him out in the box in the sun? That's what I was in.
Cool hand Luke.
It was two fiberglass shells. It's one of them stands that they put together and they bolt them, down the seam.
Yeah.
It couldn't have got any hotter. If you'd put a heater on it, it couldn't have got any hotter. It had little bitty windows, and I got off in there, and I'm like, maybe it won't be too bad. No. That thing was like sitting inside a Yeti.
Porta-John.
Yeah, it was worse than a Porta-John. I think a Porta-John's thinner.
Malcolm said he had his shirt off. He had his breeches pulled down to his ankles. He was just sitting there in his underwears.
I didn't see the first deer in Arkansas. I didn't see not one. I think y'all saw some deer. I don't know if I was just in the gar holes or what, but I didn't see anything to shoot at. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a blast getting to hang out with some a really good group of guys. That's what camp is, and that's what we wanted to go for, was the experience, to get a deer camp experience and see what other people's camps are like. So we got that.
Yeah, that was the main thing. It wasn't just the deer hunting. That I'm glad I got to shoot a deer, but it wouldn't have mattered if I did or didn't. I just wanted to go hang out with those guys, spend some time with them, see how they did deer camp. Because I've never been in a deer camp that was that big or that old and just had that tight knit group of guys like that for that long. Because most of those guys that were our age and older, they've been in it since they were little.
There's 5 generations.
Their dads were bringing them.
There's 5 generations that have been through there, because there was an older man. What was his name? Big John, or what was his name?
Don.
Big Don. Yeah, he was 86 87 years old. Went hunting every single day. We were there, morning and evening.
This old man shot. We were there. He'd been there 5 days, and he had shot at 5 deer.
He'd shot at 5. Didn't have any deer yet, but he was going, and I was impressed with that. But just hearing the stories, that those old timers could tell. I mean, he told us that his dad started him going there, and this has been years and years ago. And he had his son, which was there, which his son's older than us. He was probably retired in his 60s, I imagine. And then his kids, and then his grandkids, and it's just generations and generations of people that have been going to this little camp. And it's nothing like they're hunting. The land's totally different than where we're hunting. It was sandy paper land. So it was all thick pine trees. I mean, when I talk thick, Mike, you got off in it looking for one of the deer that one of them had shot at. And you can talk about how thick it was, what it was like, but the terrain was rough.
Yeah, most of their, and it's weird because they, most of their stands were anywhere from 12 to 20 foot off the ground out in the middle of those big blocks, of pine trees. But, and I'm sure the reason why they had them like that is just, because you never know, you might have to come in there and just be nothing. They done took out 200 acres of pine trees, 300 acres of pine trees. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, when you go on some of those that have been thinned and then they've grown back up, they don't use fire in there at all to manage it. And man, it is a massive wad of just gums and briars and honeysuckle and which is good, but it'd be a lot better if they would let them burn it, but they can't do anything like that. They just, timber company manages that, but it's thick, man. If you're on your hands and knees in some places trying to track a deer,
that makes it tough.
Yeah.
So were y'all hunting with actual muzzleloaders, or what's the primitive over there?
So they changed their law this year, made it to where you could shoot straight wall cartridge, single shot, no shotguns. So you could hunt. I borrowed Charles's 4570. That's what I took. I didn't need to take anything. but Mikey took the deer he shot that, I bought one of those Marlin 357 lever guns, and a 357 is a straight wall cartridge, and he took that, and that's what he shot the doe with.
I didn't realize that thing was that small. That thing's about the size of a Red Ryder.
It ain't much bigger than a Red Ryder rifle. Like the overall size, it's a little carbine.
And that thing I was a little nervous about shooting that deer because it's about 50 yards.
Hold on now. Thought you said it had to be single shot.
No.
It can't be a semi-automatic.
Okay.
It can be a bolt. It's like a bolt action 350 would be fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking we've had to edit some.
Yeah, y'all got to edit that.
No. It just can't fire semi-automatic.
Yeah.
So lever action is what I read was okay. I wouldn't hunt with it.
Well, we hope so. I might be getting a ticket in the mail.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You only shot once.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters.
I had a breech load. It was old Knight 4570. It was a good shooting gun. I shot it twice before I left. Just see how it shot.
But if you want to get some excitement, you take a gun like that, iron sighted gun or something like that.
No optic. Yeah.
No optic. It's just iron sights. And, try to kill a deer with that, man. I hadn't gotten the shakes in a long time. And when I got a little nervous about shooting deer, because when I covered it up with that front butter bean, it covered it up pretty good. But I'd shot it, me and you'd shot it out here before I left to make sure I could hit something with it out to about 85 yards. And anyway, so when I fired that shot and the deer run off, man, I got the freaking jitters. My hands were shaking. I was like, doggone, that wasn't nothing but a doe, and I done got the buck fever over here. I'm shaking. And it was just, I don't know, that made my day. I don't care if I kill another deer. I mean, I can shoot deer with a rifle and it don't bother me that bad. Yeah. But
hunting with something like that, it's never a guarantee. Mm-mm. I mean, even with the 308 or anything like it, it's no guarantee, but you feel pretty confident in it, you know?
Yeah.
But when you got that's like when we first started hunting with these 350s, we didn't know what to expect. And it was fun to hunt with them. Mm-hmm. So
still is. I like that round.
Oh, I do too. I mean, that's probably what I'm going to take to Indiana with me. But I'd love, that was a 357?
357.
Yeah.
See, I'd love to have either a breech load or a lever action, 44 Magnum or something along those lines, Yeah,
because I mean, it's a pistol cartridge more or less. It will go out of a rifle, but your range on those is not quite as far. The knockdown's not like a regular rifle cartridge, a 308 or a 270 or something like that is. When I shot that deer, I knew I hit it because it kind of staggered and stumbled and it took off. I was like, uh-oh.
Well, it's the same, ain't it? Same bullet as a 350 Legend. It's just shorter.
Yeah,
it's just not as much power.
Really short.
It's longer than a 9mm, but shorter than 350 Legend.
How far did that deer run?
Maybe 50 yards, if that. Didn't go far.
So it didn't go far, but the bullet, like when we brought it back,
didn't pass through her.
It didn't pass all the way
didn't
through.
bleed.
Yeah, no blood.
That was the only thing.
Zero blood.
Because I put it up, and I was like, well, that was the first time I ever shot a deer. One of those. I didn't like the performance of it just because it didn't go all the way through the deer, and it didn't drop any blood. I mean, it knocked a little old hole in it, about the size of your index finger where it went in, but that was it.
Yeah,
and it didn't.
But
that
I think
was not the gun to be shooting over there. Them deer running up in that thicket, and
that's
not
when
bleeding.
I think you take the time, do a little research, find the ammunition that works, that does what you want to do, because it'll do it. Obviously, it killed it. It dumped all the energy in the deer. So I think you could probably do a little research on some ammo and get something a little bit better. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think this was pretty much target grade ammo I had for it. I just said, I got a box of shells for it. Yeah. But I never thought about hunting with it. I just bought it because I thought it was a fun gun to shoot.
Well, it was primitive. That's what back in the day, that's what the cowboys shot. It wasn't no ballistic tips or hollow points.
That's all you need. The bullets off most Western movies, they get shot one time. They don't kick or flop or nothing, man. They just fall over dead. Whatever bullets they shoot is what you need.
But yeah, it was a good time, and that made it real exciting. Taking a gun I was challenged with, made it challenging for me, and that's one thing about if you're deer hunting and you've kind of lost that fire about it and stuff like that. If you change up and make it challenging for yourself, and it'll make it a lot more fun, because I hadn't had them jitters in years.
See, I'd love to shoot one with the pistol.
Yeah,
that would be cool to me. Even if it was one of them bolt action, like the. What is it? What is Encore?
Encore
Contender or whatever. Like anything that, like you say, makes you get out of your comfort zone. Makes you have to hit the marks,
So over there, I guess it's the first year they've legalized it, but you could spear hunt in Arkansas this year. What do you think that would be like?
I'm not ready for that.
That'd be a bunch of tracking on my part, probably.
Spear hunting.
I mean, you've seen them do it, right? Where they're the trees above the deer.
Yeah.
Stand above the deer.
Know where they're going. You had to be right on them.
Oh, you know what? They're just going to dump corn out the base of a tree.
Can you imagine pitching a spear at about 20 or 25 yards?
I don't think you're throwing it like that at them. It's like in your hand still, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they got the
atlatl.
That's one you can throw. You can throw.
Yeah, it's like not like a slingshot. It's like a
cricket bat or something.
Yeah. It's got like a little launcher.
Was it lacrosse? Yeah. You lacrosse it on out there.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Some of the
spear I was talking about, they actually
it's got a big broad head on it.
Yeah.
They sit up above. I seen them hunting with those.
Go in between the shoulders or right behind the shoulder.
But you'd have to have them jokers.
I don't know if I'd like that, man. Just that's pretty primal there. Yeah. You want to talk about primal? You spear one, gig one.
It's more like gigging than
it's more like gigging. Yeah. I don't know about that. So going to a hunting camp like this was something I wanted to talk about. Like, what's y'all's thoughts when you get invited on a hunt with somewhere? Are you going to shoot the first deer you see? Are you going to try to be selective and get an invite back? Or what's y'all's thoughts on that?
I'm probably not going to shoot at all. Like it depends. Cause like to me, when you go somewhere like that, you're going just like Mikey said, you're going for the camp experience. I guess it depends on how well you know the group too. But because you never know, like if you go to one of them big camps, say it's got 10 or 15 members, 3 or 4 of them members been watching a buck. And if you shoot that buck, you ain't getting invited back.
That's the way I feel.
Plus, these guys put the work in, they put the work in for that property and that deer. Like I go over there for I'll shoot a doe. If that's cool, I'll shoot a doe, but I'm not trying to go shoot their trophy deer unless they just put you on it. Here, I'm going to put you on this deer. This is the deer I want you to kill.
I got one for you. We've been watching.
That's a little different, but I don't know. It's hard to say because if you get out there and 180-inch deer walk out, I probably ain't going to let him walk, It's a toss-up.
That would have been a hard one there if it's something that big walked out in front of me,
to not shoot it.
I'd probably send a text like, "Hey, man,
are you sure?"
Well, so where we were, phones didn't work. Like you couldn't.
Oh no, it's a dead 180-inch deer.
You couldn't text nobody. You couldn't do nothing. You're just having to sit there. And that was my thing. I went in with the preconception that I wasn't going to shoot a buck. They invited me over here. I wanted to come to camp, but I would gladly do them a favor and shoot a doe. Whether they think it's a favor or not, taking a doe off their property would have been good for it. And they have a lot of deer. They were showing us pictures of, there's a ton of deer. And this place was think originally it was like over 6,000 acres. And I don't know if they still have that much lease now.
I think this was like right at 3,000.
Yeah, I think so. But they still, I mean, that's still a lot of land to have. And so, and it was prime habitat. I mean, we saw tons of turkey.
Yeah,
Like, I'd like to go back to turkey hunt.
Yeah.
It was that many turkey there. It's like they don't even really hunt them, I don't think. So
I think
We'll
Malcolm
work that
really seen
angle.
a big deer. He was just worried about the turkeys.
yeah, I was worried. I wanted to get the turkey invite
I
back.
heard the turkeys get mentioned a couple of times. They
Yeah.
told us we come back.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they said he'd come back turkey hunt, but
I think
What's
I-
your stance on it, James?
I just think like you get invited somewhere, it's different. I mean, just I wouldn't recommend going in there shooting the first buck you see. You know, get to know the place and enjoy being out there on somebody else's property and seeing how they do things. And if they want you to help and harvesting something, that's just a bonus. But
the thing about it is, and I've been guilty of it and I've done it, is when you go to somewhere else, they're going to tell you, man, shoot whatever you want. You know, you just have a good time.
that's just being
and they
friendly.
really don't mean that.
Yeah, they don't mean that.
Yeah.
When we say that here, we bring people, it's like, yeah, we'd really want you to shoot a doe, but we'll tell them, shoot whatever you want. You might say that to me, that is, if I tell you that, you're not going to get the invite back. You can kill one. Like, you got an 8 point you want to kill, it's a little 2.5-year-old deer. Hey, go ahead. That might be the last time you get to come. Which hope you enjoy it.
I've done that.
Well, see, and that's another thing. We thought about what if you can get invited somewhere and you know you're never going to get to go back. Are you going to just shoot the first deer you see to?
Not the first deer you see. I don't think. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because, like, so I'm not going to mention names. We all know this person. I was invited to go hunt at a guy's place, and I was young, and he told me, he's like, man, we got a couple back there. You know, if you see one, shoot it. It's a drop tine deer back there. It needs to be shot, whatever. Well, sure enough, that drop tine deer come out, and I shot it. And it was one of them things, you seen him in the woods, and it looked good. And then once he got on the ground, I was like, I ain't been back.
They look a little small. You didn't get invited
I
back?
didn't get invited back. We're still friends, but I didn't get invited back. So it happens. It bees that way
That's how it
sometimes.
goes.
Learn from your mistakes. I don't know that.
Well, if you got invited to the island hunt, would you just shoot? Would you be real selective or?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been over a couple times with Darren, and I've seen some pretty decent deer. I've never seen one big enough to shoot really, but Darren's the type of person that if I did go over there, he knows I would shoot what needed to be shot, and he'd be just as proud,
Yeah.
as I was, But
And I think it's a double-edged sword, because I think if you're the host of the deer camp or you're the guy that invites, you got a lot of pressure on you too, because you're bringing a new person in, and you're all the other guys like, man, I hope he ain't.
That's exactly how I felt. I was like, I know, it's on this guy that invited us. If we go killing something, they might not like what we did. They're really going to be mad at him for bringing somebody over there killing one of their
It's
deer.
like you're responsible for that new hire at the company.
Yeah, exactly. You got them on probation. They testing you out.
you can kind of read the rules, I guess. So if the guy invites you and he sits in the stand with you, that's pretty sure that he don't trust you.
Yeah. If they just
crap.
turn you loose.
Yeah.
I've sat in the stand with Jay every time he comes down. I don't know.
That's a good point though. They're gonna guide, if they guide you, they're probably
Yes,
don't
it's a
trust you
reason.
too much.
Or if they tell you to, man, go hunt this stand. I know it's a honey hole. Most likely they ain't seen crap out of that stand all year.
That
You
what
know?
they
That's
told
where they
you?
put Malcolm.
Yeah. Well, I was really looking for hog because they had told us that or
They
been
had
showing us
hog
pictures.
problems.
They got Arkansas's got a hog problem, and they had a ton of them, but we didn't see any. They would be out there. They'd be in one area, and then you go there the next morning, they'd be a totally different area on the camera. So
Well, just so doggone hot over there. I'm serious. It was hot. I mean, we were in shorts and Crocs all day long. And I went to stand one day. I think I was in shorts and just.
I was just down to the drawers at
Yeah.
one point. They probably thought I was Indian hunting.
Man, it was a smooth
I just needed a
45.
loincloth,
But it was
feather and a loincloth.
That's one. Their deer were doing the same thing ours are doing now. Like a lot of that daytime movement is just almost gone. Just so
So hot,
so
they're
hot.
laid up.
You don't really see them till like way in the morning or late in the evenings.
I know we didn't cover probably a tenth of the place where me and you got to go. We did a little bit of riding around. They showed us some stuff, but the one thing that I noticed, I never saw the first water.
No,
Where was the watering holes? There wasn't ponds, there wasn't creeks. Everything was dry. And when I'm talking about dry, y'all hadn't seen this was the dustiest you could ever imagine. Everything was just covered in it. Like if you weren't the lead guy on a side by side, you were getting hammered. I mean, it was like you just hit your pants, and it looked like you just, was in the dust bowl. I don't know.
See, that first evening when we got down there, those two older guys, John Locke and Cordell, come up. They had been hunting that evening, and they got out, and they were in their blue jeans, had on camouflage shirts, and they got out of the side by side, and he hit his clothes. You seen them cowboys when they
coming off trail ride?
Yeah, on the trail ride, and he hit himself, and just dust went everywhere. I was like, man. I wonder they must have been working or something. Oh no,
that was just to get to a stand.
To the stand.
Yeah.
I ain't that mad at them.
No, and I really wouldn't either. I mean, we sat longer than I thought we would. I mean, we'd usually get in the stand before daylight and sit there till you could take it to about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I think the longest we made it was the second morning.
Mornings weren't.
You ended up going with me to film a little bit, and we made it till maybe 11 that morning or right at it. But it had already starting to get too hot where you couldn't, you didn't want to be sitting in the stand.
Yeah, the mornings weren't bad. I mean, you got out there, I mean, it was, like 70 degrees, 69, 68, something like that.
You can hang up three in the afternoon.
Yeah, and when that afternoon hunt, that first one we went on, and
I only hunted one afternoon.
I told him, I said, man, guys, I don't want to go back hunting in the afternoon. That's too much. It's too much. And
but with your deer you killed, I mean, we had it back on the skinning rack in a cooler before 10 a.m.
Yeah.
It was quick.
Yeah, because I shot it somewhere between 9 and 9:30.
And Little Don didn't waste no time.
No, when he heard me shoot, he was coming. We didn't have no cell service, and I heard him coming. And I was like, man, that guy's here. He's on his way. And anyways, he got over to me, and we found the deer. And down there, you have to tag your deer. So we didn't actually have physical tags. You had to go up where you got internet service.
Call in. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't touch the deer. I just left the gun laying there next to the deer. Well, I did grab the deer. I'd grabbed the deer, pulled it out of the thicket, and laid the gun down. And then he took me all the way back up to camp where they had cell or internet service. And we went ahead and I filled out the tag, and Malcolm and Chandler went down there and
picked it up.
Once I got it done, they went down there and picked the deer up.
You were setting me up. I didn't have no tag for that one.
What is the real reason for a tag? Because we've never tagged in Mississippi.
I mean, I guess just so the state can monitor what deer is being shot.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that, and I guess they got a somewhat record or whatever
numbers.
Well, just like that though, I don't understand the point of the tag of where you can't make contact with that animal until that tag's done.
You're not
in the ones you have physical tags.
Yeah, in Arkansas, you're not supposed to. Technically, I don't guess you're supposed to move the deer till you
tag it.
I got the app on my phone.
You're supposed to do is put the tag on.
At Hardin Point, even though they're part of Mississippi, part of Arkansas, they go by Arkansas rules. So you got to just keep the app on your phone.
Yeah,
same thing.
So what do you do if you don't have service? You just the next time you get to service, you gotta put it in.
Yeah,
but you can really move the animal, right?
I don't. I mean,
I wouldn't want to leave my deer there and go find service.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of depends on the location, I guess. But
I'm sure it's a lot simpler than we're making it sound because we're just not familiar with it. But I've always wondered. I was like, what's the difference in we used to check them in.
You still got
check over on 30 and stuff.
They have don't we have volunteer tagging on the website now? I think
you can do the same thing that Arkansas Game and Fish has with our deer here.
They just don't print tags when you get your license. When I got my license, they printed a physical tag to put on the deer.
Oh, did they over at Max? Okay. See, I didn't have a physical tag because I did mine online.
I guess I need to ask Jay if they tag in Indiana.
No,
but I bet most states do. It's rare for a state. When I tell people that Mississippi don't, they mean y'all don't have a tag system. Most people can't believe it. And I was like, no, we can kill 10 does.
Kill 10 does.
10 does, and I guess $3. I don't know if we get an extra buck. We may get one extra buck too.
Are they doing the extended season this year? I hadn't looked at the dates.
I hadn't seen that. I think it goes the same into January on private land.
Yeah,
caliber choice.
So the boss of the deer that we have that's been fighting, is he on the hit list this year?
Definitely. I think so. He's busting up all our little deer.
Yeah.
He's a 5-year-old deer. He's a mature deer.
Yeah.
We've been watching that.
I definitely think he's 5.
Plenty. I mean, we first saw him 3 years ago, and he was He was a decent little 8-point then, kind of tight. Now he's about reached his maturity.
Oh,
For us,
he gets lead poison.
it's easy to say. Can we grow one of them big base bottom ones?
Yeah.
We let him
he
grow
had
2
big
more
bases in
years.
velvet,
Yeah,
which he
He
still
did.
got pretty good bases.
we did get to go to Max Prairie Wings. Have y'all ever been there?
I've been by it a dozen times, and I
never
was
stopped.
That's a really
Right
cool
down
store, man. I enjoyed. I looked through everything in there.
We rode by it when we went to that contest at
in
Pine Bluff.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the exact way we went.
Man, that ain't no good way to get down there.
Nope.
That is a
Nowhere.
rough ride.
Me and Mikey, we left West Point. We went, I got to go over and do the Gamekeeper podcast last Tuesday, and we left from there about noon. It was about 12:05,
Yeah.
and we took every back road in the state of Mississippi from east to west to get to that part of Arkansas. And you would, man, we were on road. I just said this can't
Come
be the
through
right
that one
way.
area there.
Can't be the
I
right
thought
way.
the road done run out.
Yeah,
Like, it wasn't even a 2-lane road. It was just it looked like one of those gravel roads they just laid tar over. And we got in some little S curves, man. There were some old raggedy dope houses and stuff in the corners of these things. And we got all
looks
dead
sketch.
dogs laying on the side of the road. It was pretty bad, And I was like, man, I don't think this map's right. It can't be. And then all of a sudden we popped out on a major highway, and it's like, man, this thing took us down through the sticks, boy.
Dang, you almost got the same map app that Mark uses. And Mark's got, golly.
We get
put it
there.
in Google and say go.
Yep.
We trusted it.
It didn't allow for combines and tractors, and
It didn't put
everybody was
that on
getting
there, yeah.
grain out of the field, and you had to get behind a combine for about 30 miles.
Got stopped by a train. Got stopped by one of the rail trucks where they were trying to get a pickup truck on the rail. That took about 20 minutes. And then various old farm vehicles.
Yeah, it was a
If you want to see Mississippi, go from West Point all the way over to where we cross at Helena.
Bridge.
Yeah, that's a good little trek across the state right there. You go through all kinds of different terrain.
You go through all the towns nobody's ever heard of.
Every little
Yeah,
town,
every one
yeah,
of 'em.
yeah, every one of them. We come out over on 6, just this side of Oxford, or the other side of Oxford, and then we took it across all the way through the Delta, over to number 3, wasn't it? And then it
Yeah.
truck us back up. It was like, hey, we're headed back to camp now, going back
Y'all
north on
probably
3.
went. Did y'all go through Drew?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, because I think that's where you turn back. You go down to Drew and take a right on 3.
We crossed the Coldwater River south of Askew a
Yeah.
little bit. Come across there,
We
come
might
back then.
have probably crossed it more than once too.
and then I guess I don't know where we picked up. Was it 315 that took us over to 61?
We got on 315.
We got on
61.
315, yeah, and crossed 61. But it was a good trip. I mean, it's fun to get to see old deer camps like that and experience what other people are doing. It's totally different than what we're doing.
Yeah.
Different
One of the-
terrain.
One of the coolest things I thought about, like the way they had their stuff set up. They had this old schoolhouse. It was, they ain't gonna tell how old it was, but it was, it was kind of open air, house when they had a little hole cut
Breezeway?
in the wall, breezeway. Yeah. And they had a hole cut in the wall there where, the kitchen was behind it, and they served out the window, stuck everything out there. And then they had tables and picnic tables and a lot of pictures and deer heads on the wall from, previous people that's probably not there no more. A lot of them.
Yeah, they just
some of
left
them are, but they just left them up there, just all the history that was in there. But when you left out of there, like their living quarters and stuff, you brought a camper.
Everybody stayed in like their own little camper,
So
makeshift camper.
they kind of circled the wagons there, so they'd have 2 or 3 campers where they had kind of parked them in a U shape, and then they'd build a pole barn over the top of it, and then they'd have outdoor carpet, TVs, tables, so you kind of had your own little personal hangout spot with you and the group that was in your camper, or you go to somebody else's. And how many campers is out there? I imagine.
A deer camp tailgate, what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's basically, it was like
What
a
it
deer
looked
camp
like.
campground.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's, I forget how many members. I think they had 50 members, maybe
Something like that.
50 paying members. So you got to think, but between family and guests, that's a lot of people can be there. So they break it up into little groups, and every group's responsible for so many stands. Like you say, you can go out and put stands wherever you want or whatever, but you got to manage. I think you have to buy one stand when you join or something like that. You have to maintain the rest of them, whatever your group has. So if we might have a dozen stands on the property that we're taking care of. We're responsible for, keeping the lanes cleared to the stands. And if you want to plant a food plot in the land, then you can or whatever. I think the camp pitches in on some of the money and seeds and stuff like that. But from the standpoint of the work on it, you're kind of responsible for your area. And I don't know if you can hunt other people's or not.
I don't know what that rule was because they
had locks on all of them. Everyone we went to, they could jump out and take a padlock off.
Well, they had said that people get up in the stands and stuff like that, so they had some of them locked up. But you were with Chanley's group, so it was Chanley and two other guys, I think just two, and then I was with Don and his dad, and there was another guy that wasn't there that was in their group, and I hunted all their stands and you hunted there.
Yeah.
That's what Big Don told me. He's like, you got with the right group.
You got with the killers.
Yeah, that's what he told me. He said, we don't put people out there just to sit in the stand. We go to kill deer. I was like, well, I'm with the right people then.
I'm with the right people.
Talking about those campers like that, and then we were camping last week. That's something I've noticed is there's more and more campers that are dedicated and built for hunting clubs now. Like we seen several up there at the campground that was like the little small like off-road camper, and that's what the guy had his set up for. He's like, man, this is my hunt camp during the winter. I was like, man, that would have been growing up, like, which we had a bread truck. I mean, I guess it was a camper, but like there's
a Wonder Bread truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's like a ton of these trailer companies now that are building like off-road, off-the-grid hunting camp trailers that are awesome. Like I watched one guy the other day, he built a cargo trailer kind of like ours. And in the floor, he elevated his floor, and in his floor, he was a big fly fisherman. So he'd let the back gate down. He'd store all his rods between the 2x4s and the floor. I was like, that's pretty cool, but that might be something to look into is like, what all is out there available for hunting camps if you don't have a cabin, something that is budget friendly, that you still have somewhere nice to go, freshen up, and sleep, Yeah,
the design on that would be completely different than something you would take camping, like camper wise, as long as you had, a single bed and maybe a guest bed, a smaller bed somewhere, and then, a big enough bathroom where you could take a bath, and you really, stove and stuff like that, maybe, but
do most of that outside.
Yeah. The one I seen this weekend, it looked like a storage compartment on the side of his trailer, and he flipped the door up and it was a pull out drawer.
That was your mini kitchen?
A fridge, a cooktop, and a griddle. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And it pulled out like 6 foot, beside his trailer, and it was pretty slick.
So the bed on the inside was probably above that.
Like he had two beds. He had one bed on the inside. Then he had one of those pop-up tents on the roof that's like a big wedge, and it's a soft tent up on the roof.
Climb up there.
Yeah, and his kids sleep up there, and he sleeps down there, and it's pretty neat, May have to build us an off-the-grid hunting camp.
Off the grid?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sold on the camper stuff. I love that little setup because it was like tailgating. I mean, you can go over and visit with somebody, sit over there with them, and have a few drinks and watch football. And everybody was kind of pitching in, brought something to eat, and set it on the table, and it was pretty neat. It was a neat operation. I thought it was a really neat operation. But
well, what do we got to do today?
Today, I want to go out and see if we can find any scrapes. And I hung up one of those ropes, and we filmed it when we hung up the rope to see and put a camera on it.
That's all that video's gonna be, is hanging a rope in the woods.
In the woods. And so far, nothing's touched it. So we're going to go out and freshen it back up and see if the deer are starting.
Maybe rake the leaves out from under it and
make a little mock underneath it. See if we can get something to come and mess with it. So far, a coon's looked at it and a deer's looked at it, but ain't nothing smelled it or come close to touching it.
I bet you do it now, they'll probably look
at it. It's probably time, but
you can't even tell we trapped 47 coons last spring.
No, we've got a coon implosion.
I was going to buy, there was a hardware store up there in Nashville, Indiana, that had a bunch of those foothold traps, but he was a little high. Which, what do they normally cost a piece?
Anywhere, it depends on which ones, anywhere from $9 to $15.
Oh yeah, he was $25 a piece. They were high.
That's pretty high.
Because I was like, man, I'm gonna get a case of these, and I was like, I'm not getting a case of these.
That's the thing, is you got to watch some of those people. They sell them by singles, and then they jack the price up on them. They bought them off the internet for $6, $8.
They're just marking them up.
They just mark them up. Yeah.
You can probably order them online, cheaper.
What you had something you wanted to ask us?
Yeah, I had a question. Well, my question was.
So wait, what are we doing here? This is
question of the week. Question of the week. Here's my question of the week. So does having, now we might not get to this, the whole everybody, but we'll let somebody answer it. Does having an excess of does on your property mean you're going to pull in more bucks? What do y'all think?
Start it, Jamie.
I say not necessarily. I mean, if you got excess around your property, more than likely your neighbor does too, so they're not having to fight and push and battle for them. They're all there.
I'll kind of I'll follow suit with that. If you was to go to college and there wasn't but 2 women there, you're probably going to go to the town beside you. You're going to eventually find them. So to me, the less does are, the more that guy's going to travel.
So you think having the excess does mean, that's what you're saying?
No, I'm saying make them deer move. Because like Jamie's saying, if he ain't got to go nowhere, you ain't never going to see him.
Yeah.
But if he's going from town to town, you're eventually going to run into him.
So you think having the numbers lower means
Have
you're
the
going to
numbers
get
lower.
movement?
It's close to 1-to-1 or
that.
maybe, I don't know.
What do you think, Mikey?
I think it's going to pull in those younger deer. I think you will see those smaller bucks because they're young and this is their first time breeding. So they're going to go after everything. Your larger bucks, probably not.
Well, I want to know what everybody else has got to think about it. Does having a large number of does on your property, does that mean that's going to pull in more bucks and you're going to get a shot at shooting more bucks?
In the perfect world, what would you rather have? A lot of does or no does?
So, I mean, just look back 2 years in a row, killed 20 plus does off here. The bucks we got on the camera now versus the bucks off camera then are definitely more and better now.
Yeah. But my thinking on that is we just haven't been shooting bucks. Of course we're going to have more bucks.
Yeah.
We're letting those little spikes turn into little 2.5-year-old bucks. And so we're seeing more of them, but I don't know what's happening when you get one boss buck and he's busting all of them up if he's running them off. And we still got an abundance of does, even though we've been waxing them. I mean, for me, I think that having more does is going to stress out the bucks because they're eating the food. They're making them compete more of whatever bucks you have there. They're running around chasing all these does. They're constantly under a state of stress.
And are they getting the nutrition?
So, yeah. Are you getting potential? So I think having a lower number of does would actually be better because those old bucks, they're not going too far. They're not going out and searching for all these does on other people's properties. Them jokers are hiding. They're trying to stay in the lowest stress environment they can, which means thick cover, easy food, easy place to bed, and yeah, they're going to reproduce, but they're not going 10 miles. They want to stay tight. Now, your young ones, that's going to be the ones that's going to go off and look for all the does because the big bucks are going to run them off. They ain't going to let them stay with them. That's just my thinking. I could be wrong, but I want to know what everybody else got to say too, so y'all chime in on the website.
Keep us posted.
But that's going to do it for today.
Y'all don't forget about the contest.
Oh, yeah.
We got that running till November the 8th. We've got a few pictures on Facebook right now. So if you get an opportunity to go on there, Buck Junkie Outdoor Club, you'll look on there and you'll see the contest on one of the posts. Just post your picture up under there. And we'll be voting on that November the 8th. You're going to get a backpack. What is the backpack?
It's a Mystery Ranch bag. It's a nice backpack. We're going to do a little, when we get back to the office, we'll do a little video on that backpack. You can put it on.
And model it.
Yeah, model it. Let folks see what they're going to get. I think it's got a cap.
I'm not included with that backpack.
You don't get but it's a nice backpack, and all you got to do is submit a picture, right?
That's it.
If you something you shot, something on your camera,
or something off your trail camera. But make sure that it's your trail cam picture, because if you sneak one off the internet and screenshot it and send it to us, if we catch it, you're not in trouble.
You're sending us a backpack.
Yeah, you gonna owe us one.
Yeah,
because that has happened to us before.
All right. But other than that, go to the Buck Junkie. What's the page called over there?
Buck Junkie
Outdoor Club on Facebook. That's where you post it. You can go if you got any questions. You want to comment on our question of the week, go ahead and do that. And
Jamie,
check out Arca Butler Physically Challenged on Facebook. We're getting trying to get it narrowed down, getting all the donations for the food that'll take care of the hunters for them 2 weekends. And
that's a good thing. I did see, I don't know the lady's name, but she posted a sheet yesterday.
Yeah, that would probably been Miss Lisa Riley.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, but it's a sheet posted on Facebook about the items we need to take care of. For this is all nonprofit. We're funded as we go kind of deal. But
where do they find that on Facebook?
It's Arca Butler Physically Challenged Hunters Association, I believe what the Facebook page is.
Go check that out. If anybody wants to donate anything, they got a list of items they need. And it's all kinds of stuff from food to paper towels.
It takes a good bit to feed, 60, 70 guys and women for
2 weekends.
Yeah, 2 weekends in a row.
3 meals a day.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But y'all check it out. Shoot Jamie a message if y'all need anything. It's jamie@killerhogs.com. So y'all can shoot him an email if y'all got any questions. But We appreciate y'all listening, man. If y'all like what we're doing, man, give a subscribe, a share, get the word out. We're trying to grow this and kind of show y'all what old school deer camp's all about and have a good time doing it. But we appreciate y'all listening, and we'll see y'all next time.
We gone.